of guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And surely in these times, we are in need for our hearts to be strong and our eyes to see through the issues. And we are so much in need of the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Imam also showed us that this consciousness will give us an-najat min kulli ma takhafuna. It will be a way of escape from everything that you fear. Because if we realize that this life is temporary, that there will be a transition, and the life of this world that we are living in for 20 years or 30 years or 50 or 80 is nothing in comparison to the next life, where we will live there forever, khalidina fiha abadan. We will live there forever. And so if we are in touch with that transition and the fact that this life is leading to another one, a greater one, and we hold on to the rope of Allah Azza wa Jal in this time, then the fear would leave our hearts. The fear of material things, the fear of poverty, the fear of success in hayat ad-dunya. And we would realize there is a greater world, and the real success is yet to come. The example of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is a shining example that we should keep in front of our eyes. And as we are in these times of difficulty, times where it appears that doors are closing on us and people are calling us names, they are calling us fundamentalists or terrorists, and now they say Islamists. They make up something every few months. Islamists, twisting words around, trying to give the wrong image. This is something which was faced by our beloved Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. And it is reported in the first few years of Mecca, in the most difficult times when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not have many companions. He was calling to the belief in one God. He was calling for people to break down their tribalism, to accept another person not based on tribal identity, but to accept that person based on their taqwa. Not based on color, not based on wealth, but based on their relationship with the Creator of the heavens and the earth. And followers came to him, mainly from the underclass living there in Mecca. And it is reported that the leadership of the Quraysh, the leadership of Mecca at that time, gathered together in their House of Representatives. And they had a think tank, a situation room, to discuss what should we do with this man? What should we do with him? He's calling people and he's having some success, and we need to stamp him out. And different opinions are rising. Should we try to kill him? No. Banu Hashim is there. He has a tribe which could reap their revenge upon us. We should not take a step such as this. But then the word come out, why don't we say something against him? Why don't we put out a negative image like today we call propaganda? Why don't we demonize him so that people will not accept the message? So although he is there, they will not accept him because his name has been demonized, and he will, just his name and his presence will strike fear in the hearts of those who want to accept the message. And so they gathered together with Al-Walid ibn al-Mughira. They gathered together and they tried to figure out some strategies. The same way today they try to figure out new words to say about Muslims, some way to give a bad image, some new movie to put out so that to confuse the younger generation. And they said, well, maybe we should call him Sha'ir. Let's say that he's a poet. Because this Quran, these words that he's saying is having such an impact. If we say he's a poet, then he's nothing much than just the poets who come in our time and they have beautiful speech, but they're really tricking people. But Al-Walid, in consistency with the Arab tradition at that time, and they were honest people, although they were living in Jahiliyyah, they were honest inside of themselves, and he said, no, we cannot say he is Sha'ir, because we know our poetry. And this Quran, these things he's saying, it does not rhyme in the same way that our poetry, it doesn't have that rhythm, so we cannot use this. So they said, okay, if we cannot say he's a poet, then why don't we say he is a kahin? Let's say that he's a wizard, and he's doing formulas, and he's producing some kind of magic spell to put on people. But Al-Walid said, no, we cannot say that because he doesn't have the system of the kahin. We know what these kahana do. We know the way they set their formulas and they go around the Kaaba. And no, he doesn't do that. So we cannot say he's a wizard. Then they said, okay, maybe we'll say he's Majnoon. He's crazy. He's out of his mind. How could he be calling to one God? How could he unite all of our idols and go against our family's tradition? But then Al-Walid said, no, we cannot say he is Majnoon because he doesn't have the gurgling and the body motions and the strange nervousness of a person who's Majnoon. So we cannot say that he's crazy. He doesn't act like a person who's crazy. Then they said, okay, then let's say he's Sahir. Let's say he's a magician. But Al-Walid again said, no, we can't say even that he's a magician because he's not blowing in knots. He's not doing the magical formulas of the Sahara that we know. So they came to an impasse and they said, so what can we do? If we cannot say this, well, let's decide on something. So finally they agreed, yes, we'll say he is Sahir. He's a magician because he breaks up families. The mother and father will be broken up from the child. The child will accept Islam and the parents refuse. The father accepts and the mother refuses and the family gets broken up. So maybe we'll call him a magician. So in the same way that we are hearing these names, it was also said about the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. But he continued his message. He continued on with even more intensity. And instead of running away from his opposition, he would run to his opposition. He would go forward to the tribes that were coming into Mecca and to teach the people and to show them the true message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is reported in these dark days, these difficult times, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would go to the people and he would teach them the message, and certain individuals would come in back of him. And he would teach them for a period of time, and then they would say, leave this man. A number of people would do this. Abu Jahl would do it. Abu Lahab would do it. But there was a person in particular who would carry on, and he would jibe the Prophet, he would bother him, and his name was Al-As ibn Wa'il, As-Sahmi. And he would say about the Prophet, peace be upon him, a very hurtful thing. After the Prophet was finished, he would say, leave this man, he is abtar. He is a person, he is a man who will not, he doesn't have any male offsprings. And in the tribal society, the patriarchal tribal society of the time, it was crucial to have male offsprings to protect the family, to bring in wealth, and also that the name would continue through births, and his praises would be sung in the different camps and in the tents outside of the city. And so to say that you are abtar means that you're ridiculous. You have no future. There's no hope inside of you. And this, of course, hurt the Prophet, peace be upon him. It's something, as a human being, he felt the pain of this, because in their society, this is one of the worst things that you could say about an Arab man at the time. And during these dark days, the Prophet ﷺ, as reported to us in our traditions, one night he smiled, he laughed in his sleep, and his wife asked him, what is it that's making you smile? And he said, tonight a chapter was revealed to me. And he showed her, and he showed her the revelation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed to him. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar fasalli li rabbika wanhar inna shaniyaka huwa al-abtar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed, lo, we have given you an abundance. So pray to your Lord and sacrifice. Verily, it is your insulter, he will be cut off.